Hi, my name is Braima Moiwai. I am a storyteller. I live in Durham, North Carolina. But before I became a storyteller, my grandmama was the storyteller. She died many years ago. She lived for 109 years. So she raised all 24 grandchildren on stories by two daughters, 24. My mama had 9 kids and my auntie had 15 kids. 9 plus 15 is 24. I was the 22nd grandchild. But my grandmama loved me, and that's the reason she said to everybody that I am the only one she allowed to go to school, because she said, according to her, I have a memory as big as an elephant. That means, I think, having a memory that big, I think you also have to really listen. So, and that's what I learned from her, to learn to listen. In the evenings, we'll gather in a semicircle around her, and she would be sitting in front of the open semicircle, and she would tell us stories. Let me tell you one story that I remember she told us. And this story, I think you will like it too. It's a story about a rat. Mama Rat. Mama Rat woke up one morning and she told her children, I'm going out there to look for food, but you better stay home. It's like your mama leaving you at home to go to the grocery store. One of the children, oh mama, you always tell us to close the door and stay inside, but you know we're not going to open that door. Mama says, whatever you're thinking, there's a lot of trouble out there. Make sure you don't open the door. She crawled out of that little hole. She lived with her children, and she went down a little hill and across a little creek. And then there was a long hill ahead of her. She was looking left and right, looking for food. Uh-oh. All of a sudden, she heard a voice. Somebody saying, somebody please help me. Somebody please help me. Well, Mama Rat decided to follow that voice. Like my grandmama would say, she was no longer minding her own business. She went up the hill so quickly. She went up, and the closer she got, the louder the voice came. Somebody please, wherever you are, please help me. Somebody please help me. When she got to the top of the of that hill, what she saw made her take cover behind a huge tree. She saw a mighty snake buried under a rock. You see, Mr. Snake was looking for food that morning, and after a morning rain, the ground was so soaked. So that big rock just rolled and sat on his back. What a load! Mr. Mama Rat said to herself, "Oh my God!" In her mind of minds, she said, I know he is really hurting, and I know he can hurt me right now. Talking to herself, she decided in the heart of hearts to help Mr. Snake out. She dug under that rock, and that big rock tilted and went down the hill and crashed into the valley. And where this rock has been sitting on Mr. Snake, he was completely flat there. And Mama Rat said, well, I am so glad I took that load off your back. And she said, I better get out of here. And then Mr. Snake said, please, I'm in so much pain. Please, you can't leave me here, please. No, please don't. Well, in the heart of hearts again of Mama Rat, she said, well, if he's that hurting, he will not harm me. And she was just talking to herself in her head. Every little food she got, she kept some for her children, and she shared with Mr. Snake. The sun went across the sky, and right around that sunset, Mama Rat told Mr. Snake, I better go home. I better go home now. And Mr. Rat said, no. You going home? You have to take me with you. Mama Rat said, you are out of your mind. I mean, you forgot that I really saved your life, and you think that I have to take you home when my children will be terrified with your presence. Oh, Mr. Snake got even happier. Children are now in the picture. Mr. Snake said, well, I think you have to take me home with you. Mama Rat said, I am not taking you home with me. You are not coming home with me. I better get out of here. As she turned her back to go home, Mr. Snake had this to say. Well, if you don't take me home with you, I'm going to bite you. And Mama Rat turned around and said, what did you just say? Did you forget that I just saved your life? Mr. Snake said, it is now politics. But you see, like my grandmama used to say, politics. Mr. Snake said, it's now politics. Like my grandmama used to say, never trouble until trouble troubles you. Can you say that after me? Never trouble until trouble troubles you. But you see, when grandmama used to tell us stories like that, you can think about it yourself. Because, I mean, if you're driving a car, you're not just going to take a stranger. Is that right? You cannot just take a stranger home. You see? So stories like that make us, the lesson we learn from that, you do not mess with strangers. Like our parents tell us. You do not mess with strangers. You basically do not even talk to strangers. Some people will say that to you. But I was able, when Grandmama told all these stories, I was able to listen. That's number one. You really have to listen. And you have to almost summarize that story. Mama Rat left home, left her children behind, went looking for food, and she ran into Mr. Snake, and she came home victorious. Uh-oh. Yeah, because that battle between Mama Rat and Mr. Snake, Mama Rat won it. You know, she went home. She knew that that guy was so much pain, he was not going to follow her home. You know, she left her there, and that's what she should have done in the first place. Not at all help him, some people would say. But you have to listen. And you have to be able to summarize the story. What happened in the story? You know, you have to summarize it. You want to embellish it later, you can embellish, some people will say, oh, Mama Rat left, I mean, she went and took a bath first, you know, in that, she took a swim in that creek before she, you know, started going up that hill. You can add other things, but the thing is, she went to look for food, came across Mr. Snake, and Mr. Snake tried to trick her into bringing him home, and she refused, she walked away. So, when you can remember those sequences, then also the punchline. The punchline is, how did your story end? That story ends with a proverb. Mama Rat turned her back to go home, and Mr. Snake said, well, if you don't take me home, I'm going to bite you. But did Mama Rat really worry about that with a man that was in so much pain? No! She went ahead anyway and went home. But the proverb, like Grandmama used to say, never trouble until trouble troubles you.